living human lifetime is in some way a constant healing. It is living and healing. The dynamics of living and healing that we are experiencing this third dimensional realm. And the third dimensional realm is subject to time. So we have past, we have present, we have future. Most of people are very immersed in the river of time, in the past, present, future, but primarily the past. Because even the present is affected by the past, and even your future direction is affected by the past. And the choices you're making today are affected by the past. So your future is affected by the past and the present as well. Today we will reveal a very powerful healing method that can heal the major things in your life. That's why we call it powerful method. It can heal decades of years of behavioral patterns that have been developed or been affected in a conditional way. Normally, we do this deep work when a person is in the level of consciousness presence, and all the way to full consciousness. And even sometimes at full consciousness, we go back in time and we sort things out which are affecting the present time space experience. A person in full consciousness is no longer identified with the time space experience, but just like the body is present, so the same way the history is present, and it might be still affecting the present now, the present experience. So the degree of your freedom, the degree of your liberation is the degree of liberation from the past and ability to stay new and fresh, alive in the now, in the new now, not the old now, the past affected now, in the new now. And that is the degree of liberation, degree of freedom. And in terms of experience, to clarify for everyone, it's how you experience this manifestation of energy, universe, including the body, emotions, thoughts, and energies. It's how you experience, and that can be changed and liberated to the degree that you have resolved the past influences upon you. So your absolute freedom is realization of consciousness, and your experiential liberty is the degree that you have worked through, released. You see, even if you are disidentified, another clarification, even if you are self-realized and disidentified from phenomena, from the world, well, it's still going to affect the body, the circumstances that will happened to you, because there's a saying that the past issues tend to bite. So even though you have liberated yourself as a being into consciousness itself, but the past people come back to you, and past friends, past relationships, your parents will are still here, and so on, and certain unresolved situations, they're gonna come back to you, and of course you will be able to deal with them from your new place, but the resolutions still need to take place, unless you're planning to escape into some Himalayan mountain. But usually what I have seen with escapists in the mountains or on the beaches, what I have seen is that after half a year, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, things happen that they feel they need to get back to, their city, their town, their family. Something happens and they get pulled back. And that's the usual situation. Like, I would give at least 90% of everybody who try to escape life, that life gets back to you in one way or another, sooner or later. So liberation is not about escaping. It's about resolutions of the cycles of the past, of the experience. And thus, in this regard, there is a very powerful healing method, healing technique, where we can literally go back in time. Like in this technique, we visualize, we make an intention that the present myself, which is, wiser than the past self. So the present self, the present you, time travels back into a previous life situation, 5 years back, 10 years back, 30 years back. Some people time travel in even 50, 80 years back, or whatever, however they're old. You can time travel back, and you imagine that you're meeting your younger self. Yeah. So the present self, which has already experienced everything, is time traveling back, and you're meeting your younger self. And so for those who are more adventurous, I say, imagine you get a time travel machine, but you can only go back in time with it. And then you will be back in time right here now. You can't go to the future yet. So you're getting a time travel machine, and this present wiser self is traveling back to the younger self to give some advice. Now, wouldn't that be amazing? Yeah, just imagine how your life could have been better if your older future self would come back and tell you, hey, listen, you should do this, or you shouldn't do that, or it's okay, you're going to go through it. It's a necessary experience, but don't worry, things will be better soon, or you will be surprised how things will turn out in the future. So don't worry about this present, situation or challenge. Let's say like you had a car accident, or you broke your bone, or you lost your job, or you were left in your relationship, just somebody kind of broke up with you, or somebody died, and you experience this like a traumatic experience, this like not knowing why this happened. And this is a usual response, isn't it? So when something terrible happens, you're kind of left not knowing why. And even if your mind kind of knows, okay, this happened and that happened, but emotionally you're wrecked. You become like, sometimes I call it hit by a bus, or you become like a shipwreck. You are sailing with your boat across the ocean, and then the storm hit you, and now your boat has sunk for the time being. Yeah, so it's a shipwreck situation, and surprisingly, why I'm talking about this. I'm talking about this because surprisingly, how much, from what I have seen with people in going into higher LOCs, into all the way to full consciousness, surprisingly, how much these experiences affect your psychology, how much they affect your subconsciousness. Yeah, it becomes a very big influence for your whole life. And surprisingly, then, when I look at your current personality, I can see these conditioned behaviors, conditioned patterns, and many of them point to specific situations back in time. And therefore, your present self is struggling in one way or another because something is still affecting you to the present. And what happens if you don't resolve it, you're still carrying it into tomorrow and next week, next month, next year, and you're still wondering why you're struggling, why certain things keep happening to you, and so on. So it's not a simple emotional healing technique. This is a major timeline reconstruction. It's a major psychological healing. It's a major personality pattern healing. And I've seen so many people, especially 600s, level of presence and above, that we can release, the decades of influences upon you. And you may say, like now, for example, but I'm fine now. I'm okay right now. Yeah. But if we look closer, we can see that, you may have forgotten. Maybe you don't want to remember. Yeah, you say, I'm better forgetting it. I don't want to remember that. It was too traumatic. It was too challenging. And at the same time, it doesn't need to be traumatic, the past, but one way or another, there are situations which have affected you big time, which have shifted your life big time, which have caused you prolonged issues. And that is necessary for a liberated experience of your enlightenment, for a liberated experience of freedom of living, for a liberated personality. And this is a more integrated enlightenment, integrated being. So at whichever level of consciousness you are, this technique is a major game changer. It's a major healing. And it can be pretty fun as well to time travel back. Because, imagine the present you goes back in time and gives some advice, tell something that you needed to hear at that time. Because now you know how you've dealt with it. Now you know how you, um, you know, are much better right now. And, um, and therefore, it's the same way exciting, just like right now would arrive your future self into the present and would tell you something exactly that you need to hear. And you would say, oh, tell me more, tell me more, this is going to help me so much. Yeah, so it can be pretty exciting journey, um, but it's a major healing and a major support, uh, so much needed to you, um, in order to make this life better, to make this life more at ease, more liberated. Because the the thing is that humanity is experiencing a linear time, past, present, future. It's an experience of linear time, and some things that happened we can't change, so to speak. It happened, but we can heal, and we can fix how we feel about it, and thus we can be liberated in the present and for the future. So in a way, this technique is kind of going beyond the 3D into 5D and healing the timeline so that your whole life experience becomes on a higher vibration and much better in so many ways. And when we work with people awakening to higher LOCs, we usually find and resolve the key blockages, like the most important, biggest obstacles. But we don't heal all of it because it would take way longer. And therefore, I want all of you, to learn how to do it, because this is so powerful. And when people work through it, they feel so much lighter. And when you shed the old skin, many new things come into your life. Many new experiences come to your life, new people, new friendships, new opportunities, because you're no longer resonating with the past. You become much more open to a higher capacity and a higher vibration to experience things. So this is essential for you to learn at whichever level of consciousness you are. So I'm speaking from my own experience and helping so many people to heal and to raise their consciousness. And believe me, this is the one that you gotta learn. You gotta do it, because it's gonna make your whole life a lot better